I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy Eternity Time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. It is time for part 2 of my interview with Jenn, also known as JK Ultra. So if you haven't checked out part 1, I highly recommend starting there, or else you may be a little bit lost. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. And in a reflection back on just thinking about the totality of parts 1 and 2, I just want to say to anyone listening, you are where you are. And that is totally okay. Wherever you find yourself in your journey, it's okay. You are where you're supposed to be. And I want to quote my favorite band, Incubus: experience the warmth before you grow old. I think that's all there is to it. Appreciate what you have while you're here. Go ahead, smell the roses, walk in the grass, take a stroll on a beach. Enjoy all that life has to offer. And with that, especially Earth. I know we can't really go anywhere else right now. Experience the warmth before you grow old. With all that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can go ahead and book through my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now, it's time to begin. I think when it comes down to past life regression, QHHT, or whatever modality it is, I mean, at least for me as a practitioner, I mean, I'm right there with you. Just because I may not fully believe that all these are past lives, I'm more on the side of I think they are, I believe they are, but I'm open to the idea of them being archetypal. And I think the best thing I can do for someone is just be, as open as possible in saying, look, just like you said before, it's about the information that you extract from the session, the situation, and what you decide to do with it. But I just wouldn't treat it as an absolute. It's how do you enhance your life in the here and now? And what changes do you make in the here and now? And I don't know if you've ever run into this, but I've had people say to me, oh, I've read these stories about information that's been able to be confirmed that someone got from past life regression, something they never could have known. And that is proof of past lives. And I say, look, I believe in past lives, but to me, that is not proof. That does not prove that past lives are real. To me, all that proves is that there is something bigger, something that we have the ability to tap into, and that they were able to extract information that could be confirmed. It doesn't mean it was theirs. It just means it was there. So I think the best place anyone can be is in the place of uncertainty almost, or never treating these things as absolutes.
And that's everything in life, right?
Mm-hmm,
the more you get comfortable with uncertainty, the more you get out of every single day experience. And also like too, with those kind of confirmations about things, this is where paradox comes in. Because when you are a truth seeker, if you keep seeking truth, you will find all truths are half truths and all truth is true. So all opposing truths are true. There's no such thing as real and fake anymore when you keep going. So it's like, yeah, that there is past lives and it can be confirmed. But does that mean that it is what we say it is? No. So it's like, yes, it can be proven, but also the ultimate, because like in the Kabbalion, which I'm sure you're familiar with, it talks about how anyone who is fully certain doesn't have enough information yet.
By the way, I don't know what the Kabbalion is.
Oh, you'll love it. It's so good. It's like it's the Kabbalion. It's basically like the 7 Hermetic principles. It's written by these 3 initiates. There's a lot of controversy about what is like the origin of the book or blah, blah, blah. But the information is really beautiful and it's a short read.
Thank you for assuming the best of me though.
No, it's an amazing book. And it's a short read, but it's pretty dense, even though it's simple. You know, it's like but that's, as you know, working with the higher self, it's dense but simple.
Mm-hmm. I'll default to Socrates on this one from the Latin translation. All I know is I know nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truth. I think when you think you know, that's when you get yourself in trouble. And
right.
The irony for me, coming around to a lot of these concepts, I used to think the Bible is just a bunch of bullshit. I'm more of a believer in it now than I was before. Maybe not. I'm not a fundamentalist by no stretch of the imagination. I'm also Jewish. So it's not, it's not like I don't believe it's necessarily the word. I don't know if Jesus was the Son of God. Maybe Jesus was the Son of God. Maybe he was God. I don't know. Maybe I'm open to it, but how could I possibly know that? But I think it's the archetypes behind everything that is truly important. I think anytime we find ourselves in a place of certainty, we're being stupid. And I mean, I'll bring up an example today that actually kind of bothered me a little bit. So without naming any organizations directly, I'm sure it's one we're both very familiar with. I watched a live stream of theirs this morning, basically saying, look, we were right. The government is disclosing ETs now. All these things that we've said all along, we were right. See, they're saying it now. And I look at that as, you morons, are you really looking for confirmation bias to that extent so far that you wouldn't question what's being fed to you? Because also my feeling with this is, look, I'm never going to really call myself a light worker. I try not to call anyone that because I don't think assigning a label is beneficial to anyone. I think it gives you a level of self-importance that you don't need. Just don't be an asshole. So sorry to anyone who thinks of themselves that way. I think it's okay to see yourself as someone who just wants to be a better person and help the world. But if light workers are a real thing, these people who hold a certain vibrational frequency that are here to uplift humanity and I'm sorry I'm laughing about this right now. In the comment section today of this video, I saw someone say, I broke my ankle. Does that mean that I can't ascend? I'm just like, oh, Jesus. For anyone who can't see Jenn right now, she's just kind of shaking her head. Jesus Christ, that's not, or the ascension diet. This is the diet you need to have to ascend. Okay. But if there are a group of 144,000, which I've seen that this is a thing, they're here to uplift the consciousness of humanity, maybe. Do you not think that you're the group that's going to be infiltrated by the dark forces? Have you ever stopped to think about this? I'm not talking about false light necessarily or anything like that. Sure, maybe. But won't you be the most susceptible to these things if you think you're the ones who are impenetrable? Isn't the second your ego takes over the moment you become so susceptible to these things? Why not question? I mean, if we are the questioners, if we are the ones who are always questioning everything. Oh, look, the government is now saying, look, they talked about these 4 races. It's real. See, we were right all along. I have one word to say to that. It's 2 syllables. Okay. Any thoughts on that, or do you want me to move on to my next question?
I have so many thoughts on that. One, I didn't see the documents of these 4 beings. One thing that is very misinterpreted in declassified documents is people think documents are documents from the government always. If you actually look through documents, most of the time it's referencing books, news articles, TV, things like that. So there's different types of documents. There's official statements, which I highly doubt. I haven't seen this. I saw people posting about it. I didn't look at the document. I highly doubt it is an official statement from the government. What it probably is, the same thing where they say, oh, the CIA declassified document says that we live in a hologram. No, it's a page taken out of Stalking the Wild Pendulum that is used as a reference point. There's so many things, even things that are tabloid stories, National Enquirer stories, anything that relates to a topic gets put into documents. So a lot of times people will say, oh, something's in a declassified document. And then they don't even, like, at the top of the page, don't even look at the reference point of where that's coming from, because they will put National Enquirer articles into it because this is just the way that they inquire intel. They inquire intel from every single source, whether it's true or not. And then when things get a massive dump, There could be like a random email from a crazy person that was in those documents as well. So that's one of the things that, I do want to look into now, and I probably will have to do a video on it, because I highly doubt that it was an official statement, because if it was an official statement, it would have been not just like randomly on some people's pages talking about it. It would like really be a thing. About the light worker thing, this is one of the videos that I'm probably going to do in the next like day or couple days that I've been working on is, a topic that I kind of come for the light workers a lot is, and it's a little harsh, but these light workers, which it's such a beautiful thing to want to be that in the world and to be that. And there are people that like, obviously, doing QHHT, you talk to people's higher self. There is people who their actual purpose is to be light in this world, to be love in this world, to be uplifting in this world. That is a purpose. And people are born with that as what they wanted to experience in this lifetime and the role that they wanted to play as a human. But a lot of these light workers, they condemn all the darkness. And it's like, okay, well then, are you even a freaking light worker then? Because it's easy to feel compassion for starving children. That's below zero. Like that's not even the bottom line. A cat feels for its young in that way. Animalistic, like basic survival says that this is what you should have compassion towards. You really want to bring light on this world? Have compassion for the perpetrator. Have compassion for the ones doing the wrong. Really be able to hold compassion. Really be able to hold light. Because it's like these light workers also want to be surrounded by only high vibe. They want to only live in that environment. They want to condemn everyone that is unlike them. And it's like, that's not light work. That is just putting yourself in a box of protection and padded walls of what you're calling light work. No, real light work is like being able to look at people who do horrible things and being like, damn, that person is also the same amount of God that I am. That person is exactly what I am, but they're lost. They're hurt. They're wounded. How could someone get so lost with their own light that they could do that to another person? Mm-hmm. And it's like the real light work, same thing like unconditional love, right? People think unconditional love is all love and light. No, that's love. Unconditional love is without conditions, which is brutal to love beyond conditions.
I think also like what you're saying with that though is we can have compassions for the actions of someone who I think society would call a monster, but we can also say that was a horrible thing that they did.
Well, that's the thing is this is the black and white thinking, which is why most people are not going to the next level of their spirituality to paradox. They bounce back into ping-ponging polarity, right and wrong, light and dark, good and bad, and they stay at the same level. And they think they're evolving, but they're just ping-ponging their beliefs. Because then you go to the level of paradox, and it's like opposing truths can be true. Mm-hmm. You can think something is vile behavior that needs justice, and also see that person as a human being. Mm-hmm. And we're all human beings.
Yeah.
Everything that happens on this planet is human. Mm-hmm. There are no demons. There are no there's nothing happening on this planet. There's nothing happening on this planet that is not human. We are literally the ones doing it. And it's very comfortable and easy for us to blame dark forces, to blame entities, to blame fourth dimensional lizards. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of people get triggered and the stuff that I talk about, because I did believe a lot of these things literally. Then I have done more healing work and shadow work on myself to realize every single human is capable of anything. Mm-hmm. And if we were in their position, we would do that because we are them in that position.
I'd like to think I'm better than that, but I know what you're saying.
Well, we all think we're better than that, which is how we, get to know ourselves. But do we truly get to know ourselves by thinking that? Like, because people think that they're going to change the world by going high vibe. You're going to have to, as high as you want to go is as low as you're going to have to go to be like, okay, people who do bad things, they are literally the same as all of us. They were lost along the way. They're the same amount of God. They're born with the same amount of light. They came into this realm as a pure baby, just like everybody else. And something went wrong along the way that led to this. And so we are all one. So people will say, oh, the billionaires. If I was Jeff Bezos, if I was Elon Musk, I'd solve all the problems. No, you wouldn't, because you are Jeff Bezos. You are Elon Musk. In that position, you do that because you are them, because we are one. So that's the thing, is like starting to accept that it's like, if you were them, you would do what they did because you are. And then this is the paradox, right? Wanting justice.
You're talking about
for
non-duality right now.
and
Or you just
opposing
talk
truths.
about an archetypal, if you had that much money, you'd be that.
No, I'm talking about like, yeah, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself through 8 billion people. So that is us. We are that, which is God, which is the same thing. So, yeah, no, that literally is us.
So I'll say on the third grade level of what Jenn is saying right now, looking at time through the linear lens, that's when we find ourselves saying past lives, future lives, and so on and so forth. Whereas I would say this is about a year ago. I was driving down the street and I just saw some guy randomly walking. I don't know who he was, what his story was, but I had this thought: what if he is me? And what if I am him? But what if that's an experience that I haven't had yet, or it's an experience that I've already had? And therefore, you right now, maybe you're an experience that I haven't had yet, or vice versa, but we are still that same consciousness. So when we look at like a future life concept or past life concept, it's another life, but we just haven't experienced it yet. Or in a linear sense, we never will or we will, but there's still a separation that is taking place. I'm not fully aware of what's going on in your shoes right now, even if that is an experience that I've already had, or, vice versa. But there is that separation there. So it's like when we look at these other individuals, I think that's what you're saying when you say we are them. Because to me, yeah, duality and non-duality, they can exist at the same time. I think anyone is just like, oh, it's a dualistic nature. Non-duality is a bunch of bullshit. Black and white thinking, just like you were talking about. And vice versa. It's like, why can't both be true at the same time? Why can't all of these things be true? Why does it have to be black or white? What about all these colors that we can't even see and everything that falls in between? And why does it have to be one or the other? Also, like when I look at, these individuals, it's still, I will say maybe I'm not at that level yet where I can have the full compassion. Like I will still look and say that was horrible, but I also look at the lens of the other lives that I believe that I've experienced where I've been like, yeah, I've done some stuff that's not so nice, but I'd like to think I'm a better person now, having a different experience and doing the best that I could do. Sure, I'm going to still trip and fall. I'm sure as shit not at that level of ascension, if that's even a real thing. I'm not striving to ascend. I'm just striving to be a better person and to do my part to help the world. And that's also, like I've talked about this on the podcast, what I feel my purpose is, especially when it comes to using past life regression and how I believe that that's going to help the world, because I see it as a tool of enhancing self-awareness. Because when I look at these individuals who are doing these acts, again, that I will say are atrocious, I can have compassion for them and say somewhere along the way they went wrong, because I do believe that babies come in pure. Sure, I believe in astrology and that they come in with an archetypal blueprint, with an energy that they're going to act inside of. But I also believe that there's a higher and lower octave of every expression. So they can be that lower expression if they choose, or they can live out that higher expression. I don't believe that it has to be fated and this is the way they're going to be. I do believe in fate and free will. And it doesn't have to be black or white. Both can exist at the same time. But I believe the way we really change our world is by looking inside and becoming aware of our actions and seeing, how am I projecting onto the world? How am I having a negative impact, even in my interactions on the micro level? Because I think everyone's like, the big change happens at the macro. Yeah, but I think it happens slowly in a progressive manner, one person at a time. And that's the way that you affect everything, So I want to do my best to have compassion with those who I see out there doing things that I will look down upon. And I'm not at that point yet where I can fully extrapolate myself from the human emotion of it. But I think we can do better. And I just hope that everyone has that self-awareness to see, like, where are my motivations on this one? What am I doing to be better? Or why am I being driven by this? Why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? And that's my thought. But I wanted to send you one thing really quick on Instagram that I saw this morning, and I wanted to just get your take on it because it's very appealing, I would say. And I don't want to put anyone on blast right now, but I'll just briefly describe what I'm seeing as I'm sending it to you.
You sent it to my DMs?
Yeah, I'm going to send to you right now.
Okay.
It's basically a post that is referencing a show that's out there right now. And it's talking about this character is a so-and-so starseed for these reasons. And again, I don't want to put anyone on blast right now, but from someone who is a content creator, just for anyone who's listening right now, if they see these things, because to me, why this could be detrimental is like, even when you're watching a TV show now, you're looking at, are they a Nocturian? Are they a Lemurian?
Right.
This and that. It's just like,
and
what
that
about
example,
the humanity?
I never even heard of that, like, archetype of starseed, and they're just going to probably keep adding more because more planets and more things.
Yeah, that was a new one. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I never heard of that one before. I was like, what is, but what I had talked about also in that starseed video, and it was because you also brought up astrology before in reference to it. I really think that they're kind of the same thing, right? Like, astrology is the archetype of our personality. And of course, all these other aspects, right? Your emotional is this archetype, and all the other planets. I know it's not oversimplified but it is on a very simple thing, like our archetype of our personality. And, very simply, like, oh, you're a Leo, you're an Aries, you're this, you're that. And then the next round is the starseed stuff, right? Because then this is kind of your soul mission archetype. So you're kind of either an Andromedan or an Arcturian or this. And it's the same thing as being like a Leo, a Virgo, a this, a that. And so that's the way that I perceive those things now. I used to perceive them as literal. I don't know if I believed that they were planets. I do think what we believe to be planets is more complex. I believe what we're seeing in the sky is more complex than what we have defined it as. So I don't know if I ever really believe that these are truly happening on these other planets or whatever is going on.
I thought Sirius was a star.
Right. Like whatever. And then all the planets around those stars, right? Like whatever is actually, because even that is very up for interpretation of what really is happening with the starseed thing. Is it a dimensional thing? Other versions of yourself, multi versions of yourself? Is it an actual planet? All of that can be debated. But, I also think everybody needs to have their experience, because like I have gone through, there's so much stuff like, say, happening in like pop culture now. Like, say there's a lot of like women hate, men hate, all of these things that are happening online. There's like these like movements of like women to like, whatever, dismantle the patriarchy, decenter men. There's these movements of like men, manosphere stuff of like, and all this, the gender stuff, all of these things. I've gone through all of these phases. Like, if you look at the photos of me throughout my life, I've gone through all of these phases. I have gone through, and I'm like, you know what? Everybody's going to be fine, actually. So like, people are like, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and this is dangerous information. People are in spiritual psychosis. People are in conspiracy psychosis. People are in political psychosis. I'm like, you know what? I've been all of them. I've been all of them. So I'm like, everybody's going to be fine, actually. Like, that's also like, I am hopeful for it, that I'm like, you know what? These people that are making this page about kind of projecting these starseed archetypes onto people in pop culture and things like that, I'm like, you know what? They need that. And who knows? I mean, half of those people are going to be born again Christians in like 3 years anyway. So like, you already know the pattern. They're all going to go back to Jesus and say they were talking to demons the whole time anyway. So I'm like, everybody's going to be fine and land somewhere else in a couple of years, and then land somewhere else in a couple of years. And I think that's what, you and I keep coming back to with this, is really the identity stuff. Is like, the more that you lean into I am, it's helpful at first because it makes you understand yourself better. It helps you to connect with yourself better, helps you to connect to others better. And then you dig your heels in deeper, and it actually starts to pull you away from yourself. And, like, which is why, we learn about ourselves through the external world. We have to go, like, I mean, for me, I had to go all the way to the far ends of the universe to be able to see stuff in myself that was completely blind to me. There was things that were for a self-aware person who was always digging into this stuff. I had done so much personal development, so much spiritual work, so much healing work, all these techniques. And there's still things that uncover to me from the unconscious all the time that I'm like, damn, wow, that contradicts who I know myself to be. And I need to sit with that. Like, say, for example, like an easy one is like, I'm a strong person. I've always been a strong person, and everybody would have called me that. But then when I really go deep into my behavior, how often am I doing things to avoid pain? How often am I doing things to avoid rejection, humiliation, abandonment, neglect, being misunderstood,
Every
things
day
like
on
that?
my
Like,
end.
right? Like, how often are we doing those things? So it's like those things, those opposing truths can exist. I can be a strong person.
Mhm.
The shadow work is what makes you realize, okay, how much am I doing to avoid pain, which would appear to be opposite of being strong? Doesn't mean that I'm weak. It means like these are the unconscious things that need to come out. So, which is why I think too, like say these injustices in the world and things like that, we understand ourselves through what we are not, right? Because that's what God consciousness does to come here, right? If it's all love, in the absolute, it has to come into a realm of fear, violence, pain, anger, hurting each other, stealing, all of these things to understand love, to experience love. Because to just know yourself as love, okay, have fun with that. You just know it. It does nothing. It doesn't go anywhere. It just is. It, God, consciousness, whatever you want to call it goes through the process of involution, becomes involved in its own creation so much that it gets lost in it and actually believes that it's going through this pain, feels the pain fully, sees the injustice fully, sees the horrors fully, and then still has to evolve back towards love despite those things. That is unconditional love. That's how God experiences itself, is through getting so involved that it gets lost, that it can evolve back towards it. So it's like we're always going to be going through this process of, what am I? Well, I'm not that. I'm not that. I am that. I'm not that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, everybody's going to figure out, because there's only one place to go. And everybody can take as long as they want to get there. Every aspect of consciousness can take what we're allegedly 13 billion years in. Like, we could take as long as we
in a
want.
linear time sense.
Right. Because exactly. I mean, and then that's the thing too, is that it's already happened all at once. And it already is all at once. This like ultimate of the universe has already completed itself. And we're technically going back in time to experience these things. And that's why, that was, this is one of the other things that I'm working on to do in this 40-day challenge is like, I used to believe about like waking people up, consciousness, evolving, ascending, solving the issues of the world, bringing love everywhere, all of these things. And when I was on ayahuasca and I saw the universe beginning and ending, and it was just one breath. What we experienced as all these billions of years was just one breath of the universe, one breath of God. It just expanded and contracted back. And that was everything that we experienced in duality. And there was kind of this one moment at the top, like the breath work, where you kind of hold at the top with the prana and you get like your little buzz off of the breath work at the top. There was this kind of little golden moment at the top where it expanded fully, experienced itself, became aware of itself. All the Christ consciousness, unity conscious, every aspect reminded itself and then contracted. And with that, I felt like, oh, you know what? Everything's fine. The people who still want to do war, you know what? Thank you for allowing this game of life, of the universe to continue happening. People who still want to do the wrong, people who want to be ignorant, who want to be hateful, who want to be this, who want to be that. Wow. Thank you for allowing us to still do this. The Vedics figured this out 5,000 years ago. The game could have been over then. I'm sure other people figured it out 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, a million years ago. Like I'm sure every time someone does psychedelics, they figure it out. Like but we still want to have this experience. So I feel like, this kind of ascension thing is where I've really moved away from, because I'm like, I'm just as ascended as the person. We're playing cops and robbers. The cop is the bad guy to some people. The robber's the bad guy to some people. And it's like, whatever side, whatever things people want to play, that's not who they truly are. We're all this ultimate unconditional consciousness that is everything. So that's why I feel like, people could take the scenic route if they want. And then like the best part too is like the people who like, like kind of like that page that you sent me, they think they have it all figured out. And then that's even more awesome, right? The people who I've been there too, who thought I had it all figured out. And that's another great experience to have. And then to get flipped on its head again.
Look, the best way I can, there's a couple things I want to say, but to sum up everything you just said, it's like I had this flash to a couple hundred years ago in a linear time sense. And I just was like, yeah, they would have killed you for everything you just said.
They always do. They always do.
Because at first I was thinking, I was like, man, even if I, in an evolutionary sense as a person, even if 50 years ago in linear time, if I'm where I am now, would I have been able to grasp what you were just saying? I was like, I don't know. And I went back for them like, yeah, they definitely would have killed her for that. And I mean, everything you're saying, it resonates with me. And I guess, and just to kind of reiterate, where I find myself as a human right now is still in that space. And I think it's also just to give everyone else permission. If you feel the same way I do, it's okay if you get angry when you see what you perceive to be an injustice. It's okay to have feelings about these things because like you were talking about earlier, it's a mirror. Sure, we can see something and be like, that's an atrocity. But I also wonder if there is a universal standard of morality. And if there is or isn't, if it's just what I perceive to be a baseline for what I think is moral, why? Why am I triggered by this event that's going on? Use these outer events as tools for self-growth. But if you're going to get sad, it's okay. If you're going to have the human experience and you need to grieve, grieve. If you need to get angry, my God, get angry. Don't hurt anyone, because I guess you're just hurting yourself. But in my dualistic view of the nature of our reality, just be a better person. But it's okay to be human. And I think if you ignore the human emotion of whatever these events are, then you're just going to be hurting yourself, because you're going to be suppressing whatever it is that you're feeling or needing to experience. And then the ripple effect of then hurting everyone else in the meantime, all those other parts of you, those other 8 billion individuals, non-individuals, well, both can be true at the same time. I think it's okay just to be where you are. I think the most important thing with that is just to acknowledge where you are. And I've been a past life regressionist since 2016. That's how much I know as a past life regressionist. The experience that I've had in that decade, as of when we're recording this in May of 2026. I haven't been a past life regressionist for 9 years. I haven't been a past life regressionist for 11. I know what I know as a past life regressionist who's been doing this since 2016. I know that I'm not, I believe that I'm not fully evolved and that I have a lot of growing to do. And I am a flawed human who just happens to help other humans retrieve information to help themselves. I'm just a facilitator, but I am deeply flawed. I am so far from perfect. I had frozen yogurt yesterday. I want cows to be treated better, but I also eat meat. And I get angry. I get upset. I say things that are mean sometimes that I probably shouldn't say. I probably make jokes that I should know better, but I don't. Or if I do, I still do it. I believe in extraterrestrials. I mean, I think you'd have to, I'm sorry to say it, I think you'd have to be incredibly ignorant to not believe that there is something else out there with everything that we see on our planet. Like, really? We are that special that we're the only place in this infinite space that we find ourselves in where life seemed to evolve in some kind of intelligent manner? Yeah, okay, sure. But hey, maybe once I die by my cosmology, because I do believe I go somewhere else after, I'll see, oh yeah, maybe it was just Earth. Maybe everywhere else is just a barren wasteland, or there are these Edens everywhere else and nothing is there. because nothing ain't an apple. Apples are good. I like some of them are too tart. Some of them are fine. But I think it's the path of self-discovery. Ultimately, we're all on it. And do I perceive myself to be better than other people? Yeah, not everyone, but I'm sorry to say, I'm still not at that level where I'm like, I'm not better than you. I think I'm different, but I want to catch myself when I feel better than someone else. But I'm still not at that point yet. And I have a lot of growing to do. That's all that I know, is that I know nothing at all. And I don't know. I can do better. You want to play the Saturn game? Unless you had any.
I don't know what the Saturn game is.
Unless there's anything you wanted to jump in and say there.
What you were saying about allowing yourself to also feel these things too. That's the thing, is that a lot of the ascension, evolution, it's like we're evolving towards being perfect. And the thing is that we're already perfect. We're perfect with the plastic in the ocean. We're perfect with war still on this planet. We're already perfect. And that's like the freeing thing, is that everything is perfection. These concepts of perfection have been fed to us by systems of fear, by systems of not enoughness. Like everyone where they're at is perfect. So like, if you want to crash out, then you crash out. And that's your perfect expression at that moment, because it's authentic to you. I can look at this super zoomed out perspective and be able to look at the horrors of the world and be like, man, I feel for that person who's harmed, and I feel for the person who's harming. Zoom in, like, I'm frustrated that my husband's moving my shoes. Like, this is the thing. This is real life, is like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be when you're there. There's nowhere else that you're supposed to be, because there is nowhere else. It's only the now. So like, yeah, if you want to be, motivated by getting justice, then that's exactly who you are and what you need to do right now. But like we've been saying, is like, be fluid in willing to change, because, for a long time, people didn't even have the tools to change, and they already were who they were going to be. I think Joe Dispenza says that like by 35, you're already the person that you are for the rest of your life, unless you make active efforts to change. So it's like, yeah, what a blessing that we live in a time that we have the tools and the information to keep changing and keep evolving. So if you feel you're a starseed, if you feel you're a light worker, if you feel that you're this, you're perfectly exactly where you need to be. And then maybe there's another place that will be perfect for you if you allow yourself.
There is one sign that's better than all the others when it comes to rising signs in astrology. Just have to say that. I don't need to say what it is.
Well, I'm a Leo, so
Leo rising?
I'm a Leo sun.
Oh.
So no Leo's going to say there's any sign better.
Yeah, there's a sign that's better.
Just don't say Pisces or Gemini.
That was one of them. No, okay, Saturn game. In this little baggie here, I have 4 periods of time, and I'm going to pull one of them out and ask you a question. But okay. I like to maintain the integrity of the game, so you see that I pull my hand out 3 times because I'm not,
okay,
mixing it up. I'm looking away. Also, see, I'm looking away. Everyone, right, Jen? I'm looking away. You see that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jen, how have you grown in the last? It's almost a gimme, unless it's something you haven't talked about. How have you grown in the last month?
A lot in the last month. Probably most on the personal level, even though this last month has been this 40-day challenge. So to a lot of people who don't watch my long form live streams, this is the first time they're hearing that I feel differently about stuff, even though I've been talking about it. The way that I've changed in the last month is that I got a puppy, and it is like the greatest gift to like my life, my husband's life. Like, it brought so much play and childlike nature and cuteness and sweetness to every day. He's a baby Chihuahua, and he is 3 pounds, and he's just a good little baby and a bad little baby. And I just think it's like just pure playfulness. And I think, that's definitely what my husband's in the military, and then I'm also super in my head. So like for us, it was very much like getting us on the floor and playing with a little puppy. So that's the way that I've most changed, is there's a lot of playfulness and softness in my life right now.
Have you lost him yet?
Lost him? How?
Well, I think back to when I had a Chihuahua and I came home and I couldn't find him because I didn't know that Chihuahuas burrow. So, then I learned.
Oh, he's so cute. I keep him in, he has a playpen that we keep him in when we leave. He's not at the age yet that we can trust him to be free range.
Keep him away from goldfish crackers. That was something else I learned the hard way.
We've had to trick him into thinking that he's getting human food with us by like pretending that like, oh, wow, we're going to give you a piece of what we're eating, and then just giving him his little like snacks.
In his little doggy mind, he's probably like, oh, these morons, they think I'm actually falling for this. I'll just let them think. I'm going to have them wrapped around my finger.
We're already wrapped around his finger. Like it happened so quick. He owns us. He's the boss.
Sure, he knows it too. It'll be a journey for you, but where can everyone reach you?
JK Ultra on all the things, some variations on it, but it should come up. And then I have my Substack where I do once a month. That's my membership, where I do a group hypnosis. So it's not the QHHT style. It's other styles of hypnosis that we do. And so we do like a monthly hypnosis for the group. Right now of 2026, we're doing a program that I put together called Now is Enough. And it's all about being in the present moment. So we do hypnosis around like kind of what is making you escape the moment, and then sitting with that and doing, as you know, hypnosis pulls you out of the moment. It pulls you out of the self. So I've had to get creative of how can I use hypnosis to bring us more into the moment and into the body. So been integrating things like somatic exercise during hypnosis or tapping during hypnosis. So I've been getting creative of how to actually become more present using that technique. So it's been fun. And then we do like a live coaching call once a month too, where the subscribers can kind of just ask any question about whatever's going on in their life. And, I give whatever best advice I can on it.
Yeah, I just see the irony. As past life regressions, we're like, yeah, let's bring you back into the present moment, the most important moment.
You got to get
past doesn't
creative.
Matter. Right?
So yeah, tapping the body and moving through getting answers in the moment. Like the one we just did was around like using hypnosis to feel what yes feels like and to feel what no feels like, and really seeing what parts of the body that's in. So then, because one of the ways we escape the moment is overthinking and decision making and asking people about what should we do? Should we do this? So we do different levels of staying in the moment. And so this one was about like decision making so that you don't escape into all of the possibilities and everything, and you can actually know what's right for you. So I try, every month as I've been coming up with this new program, I'm like thinking like, okay, how can you use the technique that removes you from the moment to get into the moment? And of course, I'm in my paradox era. So of course I'm doing that.
Well, cheers to the present. And thank you so much for coming on. This was a great episode. And everyone go check out JK Ultra. Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.